No, you go ahead.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Nancy Nager. I'm on the board of SONSIE, and it is my pleasure tonight to introduce you to our speaker, Sarah Reiff-Hekking. Sarah is the founder of True Focus Coaching. She's a speaker, a coach, a productivity and time matters expert, which we could all use, with over 20 years of experience empowering entrepreneurs, small business owners, professionals, and executives to get a grip on time. I didn't know that was possible. So I'm really excited to hear about that. And the grip on time is so that they can get to the next level in their lives and their businesses. And she teaches her clients how to achieve their highest priorities and professional goals. So welcome to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. So good to see so many of you here. I know December's a hard time to wedge things in, so thank you for wedging me in and for honoring yourself with being here. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to also do some interaction here. So throughout as we're speaking, so just let me get oriented to how everything's going. Just give me a thumbs up, Nancy, if you see the slide. Yep. Okay, good. Awesome. And so I'm assuming you guys know how to use the chat at this point. Yeah. So as we go through the talk, I'll ask you to chime in on the chat. And then at the end, we'll do some quick Q&A. And I've got about 45 minutes. Is that right? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay. All right, so I want you to know that you're in the right place if you think, I can't believe I have so much to do at work and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Go ahead and give me a little wave if that resonates with you. Or if you're thinking, if I could just sit down and grind through it, I'd be fine, but that's not happening. Again, let me know if that resonates with you. Or you might be thinking, you know, you can't do it all at work and home, but you just don't know how you're ever going to say no when everything seems so important. Who's got that one going on? Yeah? Okay. Awesome. So you guys are in the right room. Always good to know. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to cover tonight. So we're going to talk about why the things you've planned to do to move your business forward aren't getting done. How to take control of your time and tasks and get the important stuff done. And what the actual tools are to stop feeling weighed down, overwhelmed, stressed, and confused. Anybody want some of that? Yeah? Okay, go ahead and wave at me. Awesome. So let me just tell you a little bit about me. So I, as Nancy introduced me, I am the founder of True Focus Coaching, and this is me doing what I like to do outside of work, right? So that's me, my husband's in the middle, my son's in the back. We love to be active. We love to hike and bike and kayak and do all of that kind of stuff together. So what I want you to know is that I'm a busy business owner too. I run True Focus Coaching and empower entrepreneurs and professionals to get a grip on their time so they can get to the next level in their lives and their businesses. And everything I'm going to share with you today, I have come to because I needed it to start out with, right? And it's been built upon my experience both as a clinical psychologist and then as a coach. So everything's field tested and also empirically validated. And if you have any questions along the way, let me know. That's just the glam pic, so you can see our faces there. Okay, so we're talking about 3 keys to getting started on the important things. And I just really want to get a sense what, you know, everybody just lean into right now. What are the important things for you? Right? So if we're going to get a grip on the important things, first we have to define what they are. So what I'd love you to do is just type in the chat, what's important to you? Right? When you want to make time for the important things, the stuff that's not getting done, what is that? Go ahead, type in the chat. Time with family, exercise, self-care, my biz, my nursing job, time, health, money, journaling, family, research, helping others, reading, quality times with friends and family, time in nature, time for self-development. Yeah, so it's the big stuff, right? Taking care of yourself, taking care of your business, taking care of your family, your community. Those important things that sometimes don't even end up on your to-do list. Yeah, does that resonate with anybody? The really important things sometimes don't even get written down as something that needs to get done. So I want you to notice that, because our to-do lists, our to-dos are our minutes, and that's our life. Yeah. So I want you to keep asking yourself about what are the important things for you, and what are those things that you really, really want to get in? Because that's the first piece of the puzzle. And then the other thing I love to get a sense of from people are, why don't you get started on those important things, right? Why don't you get there? I'm talking to a bunch of nurses, and physical activity was on there. Yeah. Family and friends was on there. Business was on there. What gets in the way? So go ahead and type that in the chat. They get deprioritized because other things take up time. Yeah, work deadlines. Fear of failure, that's a big one. Not enough time. Competing priorities. I need it, but I don't like it. Yeah, and there's a lot of that going on, right? That's the most important thing, but I don't like doing it. How do I get there? Self-doubt, perfectionism. Always finding myself doing something else, like helping others, and not noticing what the important things are and bringing myself back there. Yeah. Thank you. So when I give this talk, and I speak with people about these things all the time, these are the things I hear most often. There's just too many things, Sarah. Yeah. And many of you said that. There's just too many things. And then I also get this, well, I'm really not sure where to start. There's so much stuff. I haven't identified what's important. And when I have, I'm not really sure how to get started on that thing, right? So it's a lot easier to do all the busy work. It's a lot easier to answer email, right? P.S. Email was not on that list anywhere of important things. Yeah? Anybody put email down there? No, they didn't. Okay, and also things don't get started because we've had so many changes. Yeah? So many changes over the last 18 months, and things keep changing. So we get pulled away. It's hard to prioritize. We're not really sure what's important because things keep changing. Yeah? Give me a thumbs up if I'm in the right place. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about the 3 keys to getting started on the important things. The first one, and by the way, I'll tell you how to take this further if you have questions, and I'm also happy to share my slides. If you guys, find that you're taking notes and you want a copy of the slides, I'll tell you how to do that in the end, okay? So the first key is have a way to prioritize and use it, right? And I know prioritization is like not a new thing, but what I find is that people don't have a consistent way to prioritize, and they don't really get clear with themselves about what their priorities are, what those big important things are, and then use that list to guide how they want to spend their time, right? So this is what I call your triage tool, and we all need one. Life is busy. Life keeps changing. I don't need to tell you guys that. So I want you to get really clear about what is the way that you're going to prioritize. You need your triage tool. Now, when I work more closely with people, I give them some different methods, but the one that they use most often is their meaningful goals, right? Meaningful and important long-term goals. Now, Why do I use the word meaning there? Because goals are not new. Agreed, right? You've heard about them before. Somebody else in your life has talked about goals somewhere. Yeah. We want to talk about meaningful goals. I talk with people all the time that say, Sarah, I have these goals and I'm not moving forward on them. And often when we dig into why, they'll say to me, well, I don't like doing that thing. And I'll say, well, it's your goal. Why is it your goal then? And they'll say, oh, no, that was given to me. It's important to my boss, or it's important to my partner, or it's important to a family member, but I don't really care. And what I want you to do is start to ask yourself, when you have a goal, why do you care about it? Why is it meaningful and important to you? And the reason is this: meaning drives interest, right? It wakes up your brain. Meaning wakes up your brain. As human beings, we are hardwired for things that are meaningful to us. So I want you to get clear about what your goals are and why you care about them, why they're meaningful to you. So meaning drives interest, which drives focus and attention and energy. Yeah. So you ever get home from a really long workday and you're exhausted and you think, oh my gosh, I can't do another thing. And then you get that phone call or somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, let's go do this really fun thing. And all of a sudden your energy changes. Yeah. More energy, something that's meaningful, allows you to be more focused, pay more attention, and your energy shifts. So that's why we care about meaning, because it's really going to help you drive your attention and get started and do the things that are important. And then we need to talk for a minute about why have goals at all, right? We hear about them all the time. You can read magazine articles about having goals, but why? And what the data shows us is that having goals is related to a number of different outcomes that are related to health and well-being. So having a goal gives you a sense of purpose and a feeling of control. It also increases feelings of self-esteem, confidence, and the belief that what we do will provide the intended results, right? That's called self-efficacy. Goals also add structure and meaning to daily life, right? This is what a lot of people needed during the pandemic. What's something to focus on, right? And they help us structure and figure out steps and give meaning to our life. They also help you learn how to plan, prioritize, and chunk or break those big things down into smaller pieces, right? So if you're one of those people that knows the meaningful stuff but doesn't know how to get started, then you want to say, let's get clear about what finished look like, about what this goal really is, and start to break it down into smaller pieces and plan and prioritize when you're going to do those pieces. So it gives us something to learn the time management around. And it also, having a goal also gives us a sense of purpose during times of crisis, gives us something to focus on to pull us forward. And it often involves engaging with others, which increases happiness and well-being. We are by definition pack animals, yeah? Even if you're an introvert, being connected with others in a way that works for you increases happiness and well-being. So those are the reasons why we want to have a goal, okay? And this is from a researcher named Sonia Lubomirsky, and she has a great book called The How of Happiness, and all of this information is given in more detail there. And now we've talked about why, what's the big deal about having a goal, why it might be important, why it might be helpful. Then we need to talk a little bit about what kind of goals you need to have, right? Because some goals don't seem to work. You notice that? Some goals aren't set up quite right. So here's what the research shows us on how we need to put together goals. They need to be carefully crafted. And again, they need to be related to things that are meaningful and important to you. So goals need to be intrinsic. So they need to be personally involving and meaningful, right? They need to be intrinsic to you, not extrinsic, not about what the outside world wants. Right? And this is a really important sentence, not what other people approve of or desire for you, right? Many times we have these goals that we think that's what we're supposed to do, and then we can't move forward on them because they don't feel meaningful, because they're not intrinsic. They're not intrinsic goals. Okay, they need to be authentic. They need to be things that you value on the face of it, and really that feel like yours. They also need to be framed as approach goals. So things that you're moving towards, not things you're moving away from, okay? So for instance, I'm moving towards a financially stable business, not away from debt, right? I'm moving towards healthy lifestyle and healthy eating, not away from my weight, yeah? They also need to be harmonious. So when you put together goals, you want to see if they complement each other. And this is where our personal life and our work life and all of the things on the list can really feel like they compete, right? You know what it's like when you have a job that's taking over a large part of your life and you're trying to take care of yourself and your family and whatever else needs to get done, yeah? So this is where you need to find what I call this the and conversation. How do you do this and that? How are they harmonious? How are they working in the same direction? And you don't feel like they're always at cross purposes. And then goals need to be flexible and appropriate. Yeah, priorities change with time, and sometimes our goals change. That's okay. What I don't want to have happen is that that the goals change because you've forgotten that you've made goals, right? This is like the New Year's resolution effect, where 3 weeks later, nobody knows what they said on New Year's Eve. So the goals are going to change with time. We've seen that. We've had to live that over the last couple of years. And it is part of the key of putting together goals that are going to help guide you in setting your priorities. And they need to be set up in an active way. So what do I mean by that? They need to be things you're taking action to do as opposed to wishing for something to happen, right? Or hoping, or like I'm all about mindset. It's a really important thing, but action is important too. Mindset is only one piece of the puzzle. Yeah. Okay. And again, this information is from Sonia Lubomirsky from the How of Happiness. So one of the ways that I make this more simple for my clients, and when I work more closely with people, we really dive into this and we get clear about the goals and breaking them down into small pieces and how do we move them forward and all of those things. But meaningful goals, in my definition, are your goals that guide you in achieving the whole life that you want. Okay. And I say whole life on purpose because so often we get focused on the goals at home or the goals at work, right? We're not thinking about the whole life. And when you start to think about the whole life and the life you really want to live, then you can start to use your meaningful goals as a prioritizing method, right? As that triage method. And it's where you really want to lean into what does finished look like, right? What is that vision of where I want to be? How will I know I'm there? What will it look like? What will it feel like? What will I have done? What will I be doing? And be very specific. Okay. Super important key there. What does finished look like? Okay, so the first key is have a prioritizing method and use it, right? A triage method. And I suggest that we all have a triage method. It's called meaningful goals. We just forget that we have them, and we forget to have a relationship with them, right? So key number 2 is learning to prioritize now in multiple locations. And does anybody ever felt like this before, right? You have to prioritize at work. You have to prioritize in the office. You have to prioritize in the kitchen. You have to prioritize in the garage, right? You have to prioritize sometimes, in your living room, whether you're focused on helping your kid with school or you're doing your work or you're taking care of the dogs, right? Whatever it is for you, prioritizing in multiple locations gets really tricky. So you have to get good at saying, when I'm in the office, when I'm working, what are my priorities during this period of time? And then when do I stop working, right? I'm going to say that again, because lots of people actually don't ask themselves that question. When am I going to stop working? And then when am I going to shift my focus to prioritizing at home or in another location, wherever it is for you? And this is what I call building prioritizing resilience, right? That because what we know is that context, our environment, drives about 80% of what we do. Context predicts about 80% of your behavior, okay? If you don't believe that, think about coming home at the end of an exhausting workday and you're starving, and the only thing on your kitchen counter is your favorite dessert. What are you going to eat? You're going to eat your favorite dessert, right? Now, rewind, same day, equally exhausted, walk in starving, and your favorite healthy meals on the counter, you're going to eat that, right? So that's an example of the power of your context, the power of your environment. So you have to build your ability to prioritize in different situations and let the context support you. This is one of the things that's been hardest for people as they were working from home during the pandemic, as they're now trying to go back or doing hybrid or whatever new sort of schedule that you have. We were used to working in a particular way, and our work stuff was in the office, and then there was other stuff at home, right? So the context was really super helpful. Then when we started to do everything from our kitchen tables, lots of things started to fall apart, right? And we know because people weren't switching their context and deciding when they were stopping, many people were actually working longer hours, right? So notice you really want to build that prioritizing resilience, and this is practicing prioritizing in multiple different locations. And then the third key is that you actually have to prioritize at different times of day, right? Your priorities are different in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, at bedtime, yeah? In the 24-hour day. And then we also often have different priorities at different times of year. Many of our businesses are seasonal. Many of our businesses have a seasonal flow, even if there's not a active seasonal component, right? And our energy level, our social lives have a seasonal flow. All right, so you want to get really, really good at practicing seasonal adaptability, right? What are you prioritizing in different seasons? And start to ask yourself, do your priorities shift? They may not, but you want to ask yourself, and if they do, you want to notice that and make sure through the whole year that you are targeting your goals in a way that's appropriate given the season. Make sense? Okay. So seasonal adaptability. So those are the 3 keys to getting started on the important things. And what I can tell you is that getting clear about those meaningful goals is a way for you to then say, when something comes in your day, is it on the goal list, right? Is it on which are your priorities? If not, then you probably want to say no to it. Yeah. So it's like having that list on the wall. And at different times in my life, and I actually encourage my clients to do this, have that goal list in a place where you can refer to it. So if somebody asks you to do something, you can see where it lines up with your goals. Give yourself a moment to pause and say, is it in here? Is it related to a goal? If so, do I want to say yes to it? Right? That is the heart of prioritizing. And getting started on things means that you know it's a priority, and then you're giving yourself some space to get started on it. And it means you need to say no to a lot of stuff, because guess what? We only have 24 hours in a day. Only 24. So the thing that I find that happens next for people is the new problem, right? Once you figure out what how to prioritize and how to keep prioritizing in multiple different ways during the day, during the week, during the month, during the year, is that the next problem is that you distract yourself, right? You forget that you even have goals at all, right? You forget to keep coming back to those goals. And this distracting yourself piece is where I really need to work more closely with people to get clear and to help you notice what pulls you away from your primary goals. Because sometimes it looks like a goal that is more important, but maybe isn't. It's just a bright, shiny object, right? Sometimes what distracts you is the emotion that's related to getting started on a project. Sometimes what distracts you is just everything going on around you. So what I love to do is to be able to dive more deeply with people and help them figure out what distracts them and put in place the skills that we've been talking about, getting really clear about those meaningful goals, using the triaging method, practicing it in multiple situations all throughout the year. Because our brains really are context specific. So any skill that you want, you have to practice in multiple situations, multiple contexts. So it becomes just a part of who you are. It's why this is not a one and done and why it gets challenging. Okay, so one of my clients, Esther, always felt like she was distracting herself. Before she started working with me, she felt like she was uber productive, spinning plates and getting lots of stuff done. But in reality, she was really wasting a lot of time and energy. She's one of those people that was running around, always feeling busy and productive and crossing little small things off her list, but not getting to the big important things. And through using these steps and some other things that I shared with her, she now has more dedicated energy for herself and the important things, and she gets the important things done, right? She's not leaking that energy, spinning everywhere, running around like a crazy person. So this is where you want to make sure that you're taking time to step off the treadmill of your life and to reflect occasionally. And that can be a hard skill to develop. All right, because if we don't do that, then we forget about the goals. We forget about what's most meaningful and important, and we just start reacting and responding to what is in front of us. Yeah, does that resonate for people? Okay, so one of the things that I like to share with people, and I like to make available for people, is if you have questions and you want to speak with me to get clearer on what distracts you and how you can move forward in a way that works for you to help you get clearer on your next best move to managing your time and your tasks, I'll in a minute, I'll give you information about how you can do that. And I'd be happy to gift a few just gift spots for me from me in my calendar to the people in the room, because I know you guys do amazing work. And it's really just my holiday gift. So I have about 5 spots available, first come, first serve. And if you're interested, I'll put a link in the chat in a moment to share that. But this is where I'd love to take some Q&A. And if you guys want to raise your hands and ask the questions, I know I covered a lot of material, but I'd love to get some conversation going. Yeah, Mary Lou says, great timing for this discussion. The past 18 months has been a long treadmill, yeah, for everybody. So if you guys want to use the reactions tab to raise your hand, I'm happy to answer questions that come up. Okay, Mary Lou, how can I help you?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. That was really great. Lots of nice insights that we can take with us. One question I had as a manager of a number of different staff, and some that I really see, are running even faster on that treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
Help them move forward to the more meaningful goals. Have you ever had any sort of team exercises that you do?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's super helpful and that you can do as a leader is to ask people what their goals are and what goals they have related to work, the work they're doing now, and in life in general. And then you can also start to get clear about how they can use their strengths to move forward on their goals and where their goals interact with the goals of the company or the team, right? So that you can help them find those win-wins. They're going to feel better. They're going to want to come to work more. And you're going to be able to be that inspiring boss that's going to help them move forward. Does that help, Mary Lou?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I wonder, do you ever see in organizations where it's a bit of a team problem? Actually, it's not sort of, just the way we work, we're causing ourselves to stay on that.
Yes, absolutely. So that comes down to like, what's the team goal? Why are we here, right? What is our primary job? And how are we all aware of what the team's primary job is and that we are working as a team? Yeah. And so a win for me is a win for you. And how do you start to foster that conversation? Absolutely critical. Great. Other questions?
So I have a question, Sarah. That was really very interesting. I've heard a little bit about your company from the Boston Club, but this was much more in depth. But anyway, my question is, I've spent, and maybe this resonates with other people, but I've spent my whole career overcommitting myself. It's really hard to learn how to say no.
Yes.
You want to do it because you love it and it's something that you think is important. And so you say yes, and then you spend a whole lot of time doing all of these things. You might have your goals in place, but it's really hard to turn it off because you're sitting there with, somebody mentioned in the chat, you get your technology, you're always accessible. And so then it becomes, well, if I don't answer that person, it doesn't feel right. And so you're always checking, you're always looking. I mean, what are you telling clients about that craziness?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot in there. So let's unpack it a little bit. The first thing is, you're overcommitting, right? Because you just said it. So at some point, that you're saying yes to a number of hours in the day that you actually feel like you should be doing something else. All right. So then the question becomes, what is that other thing you would be doing? And is it something like taking care of yourself? Is it that downtime, that time with family, the physical activity, whatever it is? But getting really clear that you have to take care of yourself. You have to figure out like you need to be on the list, right? Because here's the thing, when you're burnt out, when you're exhausted, then you can't serve in the way that lights you up that you want to serve. So there's this piece of what is, and I call self-care, right? Which feels like that thing that feels selfish, which we know is not. Okay, it's not. I call it fuel for my ultimate self. Okay, because that feels like something I can get behind. And sometimes, Nancy, what we have to do is get really clear about why we care about the other stuff that we're not getting to, because we're overcommitting to something that somebody says yes to, right? Or that we've decided to say yes to. I spend a lot of time sitting on my hands, right? Because I'm really clear about how many things I want to say yes to. And it takes some time to get clear about that. And then the next thing is practicing saying no, because it feels really weird when you're used to saying yes and you know you can do it, right? So it's a practice. And here's the thing I know. If you say no, somebody else will say yes. It will happen. It might not be right away, but eventually somebody else will stand up. So practicing saying no and learning the skill of saying no is a really important skill. It's not a one and done, just like the prioritizing in multiple situations, saying no in multiple situations, because you want to get really clear that you're saying yes to things. The other thing I always say to people, and I ask my clients and myself, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? Yeah. Because if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Okay, so the chat's blowing up over here. Let me see what people are saying. Sometimes the nature of a goal, the work situation stuff related. Hold on. I think that women nurses have been socialized to say yes to everyone and everything. Absolutely. Yes. No is extremely hard as a nurse. I'll certainly call myself out on that. We don't often get to do so, at least in the work sense. Okay, so yes and no in the work sense. I want you to just ask yourself, like lots of times you are in urgent situations. You are there to do the doing and the caretaking and the action. Yeah. And then sometimes we don't even catch ourselves. We're doing a lot more than we need to. Not that that's a bad thing, but I just want you to notice if you're doing it. I want you to have an awareness and have that be a choice. Right? And I want you to notice that if you're saying no, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It actually might be a good thing. You might be giving somebody else an opportunity to do something that they wouldn't have said yes to. Okay. But practice, that's one of the important things. And then with technology, set boundaries. Get clear on your boundaries, communicate them in a loving and caring way. All right. You don't have to be rude. But I can tell you, people know I'm not going to answer my phone right now. I'm giving a talk. Okay. I can tell you, and that feels like an okay boundary, right? So you can also say, I don't answer my phone after certain times a day. I respond to email at certain times of day, right? I had an urgent client email come in last night, could have felt like super urgent. She wrote it at 9 o'clock at night. She knows I'm not necessarily available then. She also had my cell phone. She could have texted me if it was super urgent. I waited to the morning to respond. Right? Nobody was going to die. It was in her best interest to think about it a little bit. And then in my workday, I respond. So some of it is practicing not responding, turn the freaking phone off, right? Like literally. Do you remember those days when I'm gonna out myself in my age, okay? You remember those days where the computer was only in the office and you had to drive into the office to get to it. And that's where you did your email, okay? So you can set boundaries and it's letting people know, all right? My team, I manage a remote team for my business. They all live and work in different places, some of them different states. And we have agreed upon communication protocols, right? We use a project management system. That's where everything goes. We're really clear about when we're working and when we're not working. Okay. Okay, Emily has a question.
Hi.
Hi.
I want to say thank you for this talk. A lot of it was very relevant. I was just wondering how you feel about being like multi-passionate about a lot of things because I am very conscious of, the limited time and energy in a day. And I just keep telling myself that I could do everything, but not all at one time. And so I just wanted to know how you felt about that.
Yeah, I think I'm all for multi-passion. You just want to make sure that you're really clear about what the priorities are for a particular period of time, right? And yes, you can do lots of things and not all at once. So you also want to be clear about what you're saying yes to and when you're saying yes to that. So what ends up happening for people that have lots of passions is sometimes they end up with like 87 open projects, right? And then they don't have enough time, or they don't set up their time in a way that they can actually go to one project, make a lot of progress on it, and then go to another project. So they end up feeling like they're taking a teaspoon of water out of 87 5-gallon buckets, right? And just running around and taking teaspoons out, but not ever draining a bucket, right? So you want to say, I can take on X number of projects, and when I complete one, then I can take another one on, right? So that you're setting a limit for yourself and not setting yourself up with like 100 projects that never get done and then you feel bad. Does that help, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Rebecca, you're up.
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of people that I've talked to on here, and I spend a lot of time with colleagues of mine. How about speaking about how to manage, difficult or challenging people or work environments? Now, some people here have very challenging family situations. Other people have very challenging work situations. Other people have, and sometimes it's a dichotomy of somebody who's equal to you in your work, right? That's on the same level. And then other people, so just if you could sort of I think there's a lot of, managing your time is important in things, but managing complicated relationships seems to take up a lot of people's time. So do you have any words of wisdom on how to manage that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the first thing is that, it helps me to be more specific in that situation because the dynamics are very different, right? And it takes two to tango. So I would, in that situation, first of all, emotions are one of the things that distract us. And if you're having difficulty with somebody in your life, those emotions can really cause you to go sideways or spend a lot of time in one area that doesn't feel productive, right? And that can be in terms of relationships. So I would say first, like just a couple of questions. The first one is, what's the main problem? Can you characterize the main problem, right? And then is there a win-win solution to that main problem? Because sometimes what happens in fast-paced work environments, on teams, and when there's a lot of emotions flying, that we get into rhythms of working that really aren't working well for anybody, but we're so used to being on that treadmill that we don't stop and say, oh my gosh, if we set this up differently, we would save a lot of time and energy. Okay, so an example of that, way back when I was in graduate school, I was a research assistant on a study in a hospital. And I was trained that you go up to the floor that the patient's on and you interview the patient, and then you get the stuff from the medical record, right? And you don't need to get the stuff from the medical record right then, Sarah. You can request the medical record whenever, right? So I always had a stack of half completed data collection on my desk where I'd done the interview with the client, but I had to request the medical record, right? Now, you guys know it's a pain in the butt to request the medical record, right? And sometimes it's not available because some doctor has it, or they're going in for an appointment somewhere and it's really hard to get. So I said to my supervisor at the time, like, Matt, I am so behind. I'm so overwhelmed by this project. And he was like, Sarah, when you interview the patient, their chart's on the unit. Start with the chart It's right there. And all the information you want is like top of the chart because they just had their heart attack. It's all right there. And then go talk to the patient. It's all done in a really short period of time. And I was like, I never would have thought about how to do it that way because I had been taught differently. And he said to me, you know what, Sarah, if you organize this data collection, that's how you would have organized it. And he was right. Okay, so that's how in the grain of what we do, we can't even see it. So sometimes you really have to stop and say, why is this such a problem? What are the win-wins and how do we solve it? Hope that helps, Rebecca. Okay, awesome. All right, other questions? I know we're probably running close on time where you guys are ready to move into the next thing. Okay, Fallon.
Hey everyone, good evening. I had a question about maybe with scheduling and planning activities and your meetings and things like that. I'm the type of person, I write everything down in my calendar. That has been good for me, but I'm seeing a lot of other entrepreneurs and a lot of other people use like more like apps and different things. Do you have any recommendations that are like easy for me to use to get started, to get my feet wet, because I'm not so computer savvy. I can be sometimes with certain things, but not with like the scheduling apps. I think that's what I'm looking for.
Okay. So you asking specifically for a scheduling app, like for scheduling appointments with you, or just for you keeping track of your own calendar? Give me more information.
More
for your calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. You probably own a calendar app that will work for you already, and it's probably already on your device. So what you want to do is make sure you're not wasting a lot of time like in Googling the best calendar app, okay? Because it can be a big time suck, and it is often a waste of time. So the ones that are most often used, and you want to ask yourself a couple of questions. Does anybody else need to have access to this calendar? Does it need to, does it need to interact with other technology? And if so, there's probably one or two things. It's probably either Outlook or Google Calendar, or if you're an Apple person, your iCal, right? Most of those are sufficient for what most of us need in daily life. And just pick the one that works for you and your brain and that's easiest with your computing setup. And don't get crazy about it. The most important thing is that you use it as a planning tool and that you look at it. Does that help, Fallon?
Yes, for sure. That's the thing. Like I tried to go too into detail, trying to find the best one, and that takes some time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, just pick one and use it and keep using it. Okay. All right. So are we running short on time? It looks like who's
Yes.
Is that Nancy or who am I looking at?
Yeah, I could jump in there. I think this has been great. I'm not sure if there's any questions, but Sarah, thank you so much for sharing all your insights with us. I loved the comments around moving towards your goals and not avoiding them, and really how all of this will help us be our best selves, or live that true life that we really want and dream about sometimes. So it will take work, is what I've heard, but the good news is that there are ways to do this. So we just take one step at a time. And
yes, absolutely, Mary Lou. And again, I just put a link in the chat. I'll put it in again. If you would like to, again, my gift to you, no cost. If you would like to spend some time talking with me to get clearer on the next best moves to help you manage your time and tasks in a way that works for you. If it's that thing that distracts you and getting clear on how to manage that, I'm happy to do that. Just click the link and it will open into a little bit of an application. It takes about 3 minutes to do, and then we can sync up on the back end about scheduling. Okay, I just ask that you schedule them in the next couple of weeks so that we can move forward in a timely way with this material and how it's applying to you.
And Sarah, I just forwarded to you somebody in the chat who had a request as well. So I sent it to you as a copy. just to make sure
Oh.
you.
Oh, in email or in the chat?
In the chat.
Okay, let me just look.
Probably buried. And one thing I wanted to share with people, because people often ask me, Rebecca, how do you, keep up the schedule sometimes that you do? Because it's a lot. And I know you guys all carry a lot too. And when it gets really bad for me, and I'm telling you, lately it's been really bad in terms of I only look at my life in 24-hour blocks. Because if I looked at the entire week of everything that I would have to accomplish, I would get overwhelmed. So I can give you an example. A week ago I was sick as a dog coming into Thursday night, and I knew the SONSIE board was flying in, but even before the SONSIE board was flying in, I had to present to nurses and physicians across the world from India. 2,000 people had registered. That was 8 a.m. I then had to work an entire day, get a board presentation ready, and then kick off the board meeting that Friday night. We spent all day Saturday going into board meetings. And then on Sunday, I had to testify in front of the West Virginia State Legislature on the nursing crisis, right? So if I had looked at my block of the weekend of having a crisis, right, in terms of everything, I knew that I would not be able to process effectively the things that were going on. And then I had another speech that I had to do on Monday and work. And you guys know, I serve as a chief clinical officer of a 30,000 person organization. And so there was a lot going on in those days on top of kids and families and things that have to go on. So if this helps you guys, that is the only way I often get through weeks. As I look at, okay, I'm not worrying about what I need to do at the end of the week. I'm only going to look at what I really need to accomplish by tomorrow. And I mean, that doesn't work for you guys because you need to schedule more and spend more time, but it really works for me. So if that helps you, I just wanted to share with you guys, look at life. What do I have to accomplish in the next 24 hours, as opposed to worrying about what you need to accomplish next week? Because it's a lot of wasted energy on things eventually the time is going to hit you. So don't worry about things that you still have time to prepare for, is sort of how I look at it. I don't know if that helps anybody. If anybody else has some tips of the trade, please share that. So
yeah, Rebecca, I think that can be really super helpful, particularly when you have a really packed schedule. The thing that I also know about what you just said is that you are also cognizant of what else is coming up. So you're aware. So there is something about making sure that you're looking at your whole week and then purposefully saying, okay, but right now, during this period of time, this is my zone, this is my lane. That is prioritization in action. And yeah, that is prioritization in action. That's a really, really great example. And you want to make sure that you're not only planning in 24-hour stints, because you're going to forget to do stuff that's coming up on your calendar. You're going to forget to prepare. You're going to forget to think about some of the long-term things. But what you just explained is prioritizing in the moment, because you're really clear about it. Okay, so there is a request. Happy to do a similar talk for the nursing students in Fiji. I love speaking on these things. So you can, I'll put my email in the chat. It's Sarah, SARAH at truefocuscoaching.com. I'm not, so who did that come from? Did that come from Rebecca or?
So, Tyrone Powell. If you look back, yeah, she put it to you to everybody. And then I just copied it and sent it to you to make sure you saw it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Oh, Tyrone. Okay, I see it. So Tyrone, and I'll just, for everybody, I'll put my email in the link. You are welcome to reach out to me. And if you want to, if you want to stay in touch, I do have a newsletter and a blog that goes out twice a month. So just with good information, easy to unsubscribe if it doesn't serve you. But if you're interested, just let me know, put your name and email in the chat and I'll make sure I get it. Let me put mine in there because apparently I can't talk and type at the same time. Sarah at True Focus. It's Sarah at truefocuscoaching.com. Sarah with an H. And again, if you're interested in talking to me more, I'll put the strategy session application link in there again.
Identify yourself as being part of the SONSIE group when you apply.
Yes, absolutely. That will help us sort of track where you're coming from. And as I said, I love to get this information out in the world. So I'm happy to speak to other organizations as well. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
You are
Appreciate it.
welcome. You are welcome.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Rebecca, I wonder if we want to share anything. We've just got a few minutes left about some of the exciting things we talked about over the weekend.
Yeah,
Well,
honestly, dive on in, Mary Lou. I think you and Nancy should share a couple of those things from the retreat. And then also if anybody needs anything or LinkedIn profiles, drop them in the chat. If there's something that you need from us, you guys also drop them in the chat, or we might have a couple minutes here. But Mary Lou, give us an update on part of the weekend of what we've focused on and where we're going. And Nancy, please too. I can fill in where we miss.
Yeah, so it was a great weekend. So lots of energy. So nice to be together with everybody. I think we forget how inspiring those personal contacts are. And so, you know, we did a lot of whiteboarding. We had all kinds of wonderful ideas of ways that SONSIE will reach out to its members and offer value. Some of the upcoming events that are planned is the Drexel Program, which is the beginning of January. I think it's right now scheduled for January 6th and 7th.
No, actually, Mary Lou, we're moving it. We got approval.
Okay.
So
Oh, we got approval to move it.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're going into February. Yep.
Okay, so it should be nice, give people a little break after Christmas. So that's a great weekend course for nurses who are interested in learning some of the basic skills around innovation and entrepreneurship. Certainly if you're new in the space, and actually I don't even say it's basic. I think we've got lots of feedback from people who have nurses who are further along in their journey, who attended last time, who just found the value of that weekend program to be really great for them. As well, we're planning an in-person hackathon the end of March, which is a super exciting event. You definitely don't want to miss that one. So I think, you know, if you're not a member, become a member. Now's the time, because we're really keen on opening things up as the world opens up, you know, for 2022. And you'll be well informed through our newsletter and other events that are coming up. Anything to add, Nancy or Rebecca?
No, sounds like you've covered most of the high points. It was great to be together in person and get so much of this done and talk about all the exciting things that we've got coming up this year.
Yes, and something that is really excited for us, you guys, is we're going to start seeing a new form on the website to bring in ideas that you guys want us to participate in, which is going to go into a funnel so that we can start better processing some of these ideas, because we know we're getting integrated by that. And after the last hackathon, you guys, one thing I wanted to share with you is there's been a massive global impact. Thank you to everybody who participated in this last one, but literally we're getting increased invites to things like, I can't remember, Sweden, Israel, brand new initiatives that are taking off around nurse innovation and around the globe. And you guys, one thing that I can strongly tell you, what we may also launch and do some supportive is nurses' presence on social media. I may be putting together a unique group of 30 of you who really want to lean in and do those things, because I'm starting to get trained in it and I want to pay it forward so that we could create a really big presence out there. So we're really looking to do some things very differently, getting us back together in March, going and doing, you know, the program that we're probably going to do with Drexel, move it out to February so everybody's ready for it. Then we're going to be together in March. We may do some international travel this summer to Europe if all this takes off, to start empowering what's going on in nurse innovation led in Europe. You might not have known, but the head of all innovation for nursing in Sweden had attended the last hackathon. A group of us are all starting to speak at the NIH to talk about nurse innovation. I kick off on Monday with our first presentation. Marion is then speaking to the NIH, and so is Hiam, to talk about these organizations and funding nurse-led innovation and research. So the conversation is really changing. And also, we just also got another sponsor for SONSIE from B. Braun, which is a huge deal because we hope to actually hire an executive director to manage SONSIE going going forward, which would be our first hire. All, as you guys know, we all do this 100% volunteer, and we just think this could be really huge advancement. So if anybody's thinking or know anybody that would be great to be an executive director to build this organization, it's going really fun and fast and forward. So great. I will, as soon as those jobs is posted, you guys will get them in a message. And I can't tell you guys also of the individuals who are joining. The chief nursing officer of Vocera recently has become an active member in SONSIE. As you know, the chief nursing officer of Humana is actively involved. And also something really exciting that we're kicking off is SONSIE is writing another book to really specifically talk about how do you run hackathons. And for all of that you've attended, we're going to ask you guys actually to write part of this book with us and submit 3-page stories about what this hackathon meant to you. So we hope to get that all done in the next few months. We hope you guys will be involved in it, and several more ways for you guys to join committees going forward as well. So you'll start to see a lot more come out in the new year. But with that, you guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Holly, you have a question?
You have a
Please jump in.
question.
Yeah,
You.
Holly.
I'm going to try to be very quick. I'm Holly Shaw, and I represent the International Council of Nurses at the United Nations. And this year, we're having something different for the Commission on the Status of Women. It's an event that occurs every year. It's mandated. And we have usually about 10,000 people come to the UN. There's not room for everyone at the UN. So we have usually 500 parallel sessions around the United Nations campus. This year, as last year, it's not going to, some of the official sessions might be in person, but last year we did the parallel sessions virtually. We had 700 and expect to have another 700 this year since we don't have to have rooms. The big innovation is that you used to, only the groups that are affiliated with the UN with consultative status could host a parallel session, but now they're opening up to any group. So I would love for SONSIE and some of you to organize a presentation during the weeks of March 14th to the 20th. And the proposal has to be in next week by the 15th, but it's not a complicated proposal, because you used to have the speakers and everything, but with visas and all of that, it's too indefinite. So it's a very simple form. There is a fee. There are never fees to attend anything at the UN, but there is a processing fee. And if you're not accepted, they'll refund it. But I can guarantee you, everyone will be accepted. And you can have a virtual program for 12 people or 100 or however you want to do it. The theme is the impact of climate change on women and girls. And the review theme, there's always a review theme, is about workforce issues, which certainly applies to all of us. So please contact me or go to the website that's NGO CSW NY for New York. You can get a copy of the form. Or if you want to talk with me about it, I'm in an all-day webinar tomorrow, but I'll be free after that and over the weekend. And I'll be glad to talk you through how to put together just a simple proposal. It should be more than one group, but any NGO, and they might allow an NGO with a private for-profit company, which hasn't been done before, but it's in the spirit of partnership. So it's a really exciting opportunity. And my mission is to really have a nursing presence throughout the whole UN. So please think about this, talk to your friends and colleagues, and then contact me and I'll be happy to walk you through it, but you really don't need me. Once you get the material, you can figure it out yourself, but I'm glad.
Can you drop the direct link into the chat? We're totally going to put one in for SONSIE with you. Totally. So, but I think that there's probably some people here like Mir and others from around the globe who probably would also like to submit something from other perspectives, and we can discuss this. But if you have the actual link, I'm struggling to find it online by what I heard you say.
Okay, I think this is it. But just write to me and I'll forward it. I like Sarah can't do two things at once. I mean, I can do 70 things at once professionally, but I can't write and look up at once. But if the key word is parallel events, and you'll be able to find it. But I'm glad to help anyone do it and to give you a little guidance and how to put it together. And then the next step would be advertising, and you can also, there's an opportunity to place an ad in a virtual kind of book, a program, and it's a very exciting opportunity. And what I would like to see happen is some sessions just for nurses, but my real goal is having the whole UN community see what nurses can do. So having something of interest to everyone, not just nurses. And nurses are getting a really great reputation at the UN. So it's a very cool time and a good opportunity.
Thank you, Holly. We're going to so do it, and I hope others do. And Kate, thank you for finding the direct link. I'm going to drop it to our board who oversees the UN, and I'll make sure that Amy and Ann are in touch with you, Holly. We'll get something in next week.
Okay, and then let me know if anybody is doing a program so I can promote it among my UN colleagues and all of the NGOs.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe it. This is awesome. I can't believe it. We were just waiting to hear more from you. I'm so glad you showed up
Really
today.
exciting. Yeah.
You guys, if you didn't see in the chat too, people that attended, both Amy and who else was it? Dawn, are looking for partners to support their ideas out of the last hackathon, which I love, and we're going to have to help find them. I do know who's the lead. I mean, I have to connect you, Amy. If you're looking for deprivatized information, you got to cut with Nancy Hanrahan, who was one of the founding members. She has access to a whole bunch of CMS de-identified patient data. So Nancy Hanrahan, who you want to talk to, I'm going to drop her email here for you in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. And just, this was the hackathon, not the last one, but the one in the spring. So still working on it.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any contacts for her? I'm just going to say, and anybody have any thoughts for Dawn real quick? Dawn, what are you looking for?
So I'm putting together the pilot survey for us to be able to gather the information. So I just need nurses to be able to take the survey to create a base of information.
Anybody else have something? And so I love this. Everybody who wants to help her with her survey, which I love, is about gathering actual real in-time databases and feedback about nurses and the conditions that they're working in. Should connect with Dawn. It's a really exciting project. It is going to take some work, but we're going to figure out how to help you get this done. Anything else, you guys?
Hospital nurses?
No, it's going to be systems. We're going to do a geolocator that's going to be able to, you can take it anonymously from your work location. So you don't really even have to name your place of work. It'll geolocate you, whether it's a nursing home or a hospital. And then we'll be able to use that as a source of information. We're thinking as like, you know, not calling it a threat, but letting hospitals know that here's what we know about healthcare system, about your healthcare system. The what to do next is also another big question that we need to get to. But, you know, if changes aren't made, what will possibly let that information go public, which would, you know, affect the, you know, income of these health systems based on that. If nurses aren't happy there, why would clients want to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Really trying to just, I mean, the goal is to really just give nurses a voice, to really, and if it starts by just saying, I'm going to fill out a survey and it says, you know, and it makes me feel like I'm being heard for the first time because, you know, we talk and talk and talk and we've been beaten into submission where we just don't talk anymore and we just take our crumbs and say thank you. And that's not working anymore for us. And being out of work with long COVID for so long, it really is important because I've been fighting my way back to nursing because I can tell most nurses who are leaving that out there in the real world, there's not much that's much better. You know, being surrounded by caring, loving humans is really the way to go. So fleeing nursing thing is not the next best idea, because I've been like literally said, trying to fight my way back because I miss my colleagues so desperately. They're literally my chosen family. And, it's the way it needs to be. So I don't know how to let people know. Unfortunately, the people who are, switching in the profession, there's leaving the profession and then there's like transitioning within the profession, and they're two totally different things. So I think it's just important for us to, lean in towards each other and recognize that we're kind of all on the same team. And if we can start to get our professional mojo up, in that we don't, turn from each other, that we lean towards each other to say, I see you and I hear you. And if we can just start with seeing and hearing each other, then maybe that'll empower us to, overhaul what's going on. But really, it needs to be a bottom-up revolution. So it's going to need to be us using our voices. And if it means that we, use our voices in a way to create a survey that threatens hospital systems, then, so be it. It's long overdue.
I love it, Don. You have some people who've dropped their emails in the chat, so take a look. Rob Fraser, calling in from Canada.
Hey, another Canadian nearby Mary Lou, not too far away. The kind of comments by Don about a survey just reminded me I'm working with some researchers who are looking at vaccinations and subcutaneous injections for pediatrics, with a lot of the kind of work that's going to go into vaccinations for younger ages. And they're currently trying to do a survey of pediatric nurses. So I mostly am working with older age populations, so trying to find more pediatric nurses to provide feedback, looking at how to both do kind of interventions to work with that age. And they're also looking at potential device changes to make providing those injections easier. So looking for any connections to pediatric nurses would be helpful for me.
Rob, can you drop your contact in? I think actually we have several pediatric nurses and directors of pediatric nurses on this call who can at least connect you with them. And it'd be cross-cultural. So put your contact in the chat and let's see who can reach out to you. And then, is this a study being done in Canada, or is it a study that's being is it IRB approved for US, or we would need to find an IRB partner in the US, which is our process for getting studies organized?
Yeah, it's European RAB, but there's global feedback that they're looking for.
Okay, Mary Lou, I'm sure you have some connections to connect with Rob up there, but we will, that's going to be tricky. I'm guessing we'll have to figure out. I wish that Marion or Ann were, or Hume were on the call, because they would be able to help to guide us a little bit, but we'll do some research and dig it into that too. Fallon, are you interested? Yeah.
I did want to share something. I'm not a pediatric nurse, but if I do have some contacts, I'll definitely share it with you, Rob. Do I have a moment to share?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Dawn, and everyone on the call tonight, I wanted to invite y'all, or just let you know about an event that I'm hosting with a couple of my nurse friends that are in the wellness space as well. So speaking about what Dawn was saying earlier about nurses losing their voice and things like that, we are starting like a support group, nurses gain your voice back. And also we're strategizing, what can we do to, make changes in healthcare? What are the things that we can do? And what is holding us back? So our first meeting is December 19th. I'm getting with a friend, Wendy Garvin Mayo, and another colleague of mine, Michelle Renee. They're both wellness NPs in the wellness world. So we just want to start a conversation. I want to invite everybody on the call here tonight, and I'll drop a link to sign up. We're actually doing a bake along, doing some cookies, having some fun. It's holiday time, and we're just starting a conversation. So anybody that wants to show up, support, I would appreciate that for sure. Thank you.
Well, I just signed up, so I can't wait to be there. That was the easiest sign up of my life, FYI. Can we contact her about how we do that in the future? That was so easy. And just FYI, I literally did it in that 2 seconds. Anybody else that wants to, we can stay until 8:30, but guys, so we have about 10 minutes, but we can wrap up early. Anybody else who needs some help or connections or wants to do a shout out on anything? Okay. Well, then you guys keep innovating. Happy holidays. We will see you in January, you guys, and hopefully between us now, or you'll see us at the cookie one. Oh, Fallon, you had a question again or no? Nope, you're all good. Bye. Bye, you guys. Happy
Thank
New Year.
you.
holidays.
All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.